Hey, it's Rob Ryder again on August 6, 2015. I'm going to point something out that's really obvious once you see it. Really can't be refuted. I'm not always sure what to do with things that are so obvious. But it is what it is, and hopefully somebody will be led to this video that's going to know what to do with what I'm about to tell you. And I would start with this. If you're a good Catholic and you go to church all the time, even if you don't matter. Write your bishop and tell him this. Planned Parenthood. Right, the ones causing all the problem. They're listed by the IRS as a public charity. That's what they like to be known as. But as you can see, Planned Parenthood, if you were to just Google on Planned Parenthood lobbying, you would see that they lobby. Well, if you're a 501c3, you can't lobby. That would be against the law, which means they're not tax exempt anymore. And instead of being tax exempt, well, they're just evading taxes. And I think the IRS would be interested in this. And I need somebody who understands how to get the court to do something better than me to make them do it. Now, I think we need to go to probate court because, and I explained it in a video I did just earlier today, probate versus Pharisees, scribes, and Nicolaitans. Just the way that the system is set up. I'm not going to spend any time explaining that. I'm not here to explain it. I hope that somebody who understands it better than me just goes and does it. And we read on the newspaper that Planned Parenthood's been shut down for frickin' evading taxes. Because once you can do it to one, we can do it to them all because they're all going to have the same defect. It's just the way it is. So I've done a couple of hundred videos on this kind of stuff. So just go look at that video or Rob Ryder, ROBBBRYDER, on YouTube, and it was August 6th, 2015. Probate v. Pharisees, scribes, Nicolaitans. But here, I'm just going to show you that, if you understand what I'm talking about, well, then there's just one more thing to show you, and you can go do it. It's in 26 U.S.C. Code 170, charitable, etc., contributions and gifts. For the purpose of this section, the term charitable contribution means a contribution or gift to or for the use of, to a corporation. Planned Parenthood is a corporation. It's actually not its name, but that is its trademark. We'll get to that in a little bit. But in this one section, it says, which is not disqualified for tax exemption under Section 501c3 by reason of attempting to do what? Influence legislation. I think that's what they do when they lobby, isn't it? Well, didn't this just say? There's all sorts of Planned Parenthood / lobbying spending. Planned Parenthood received millions of dollars, whatever. Planned Parenthood spent on lobbying during presidential campaign. Just look at one. Let's see what one of these looks like. Forgive me, I got old equipment. Still using XP, and thank God it works. I'm not complaining, but it takes a long time for things to load. Planned Parenthood dramatically ups lobby tab. Roll call. Right, it's public record that Planned Parenthood lobbies. Well, Planned Parenthood lobbies, then Planned Parenthood isn't a 501c3, and therefore it's not a public charity, and therefore it can't take a 50% deduction, or no, actually I don't know how that works for who's taking the deduction. I think it's the people giving the money get to take a 50% deduction. I'm afraid they can't do that anymore. But nevertheless, they haven't paid any taxes. That's the biggie. So if they haven't paid their taxes and they're not tax exempt because they're lobbying, and we can go back to the very first incident of lobbying, and from that point forward, they were no longer tax exempt. Plus, I don't believe that they would have what's called the letter ruling from the IRS. It's a IRS determination letter that when you put a form 1023 in or 1024 to claim to be exempt, you need to get an acknowledgement back from the IRS that you are, or you really aren't yet. And I don't believe any of these places do that. That's why they're going to get shut down. But there you go, right? Just for this one reason, because they lobby. They're not a 501c3, and therefore they're not tax exempt, and they're violating federal tax laws right now. I think somebody should go complain about it. Well, that should be enough to explain it, right? But I'll show you a few more things just because I like to. Where's all this come from? So if you go, so for instance, because this won't be the only opportunity, this is low-hanging fruit. Be a lot of it. If you see they got that little R up behind your name, that's a registration, right? So you can go to Google and you can say trademark search, and you'll find a place you can go search trademarks. And you put in, or trade name, I should say, right? You put in Planned Parenthood, and boom, this is what would come up. They call it a word mark. Goods and services. Here's the things I'm looking for. Who's the registrant? Who are these people? Oh, it's Planned Parenthood Federation of America Incorporated, New York City. And as it turns out, this is like, the umbrella company over 100 and some Planned Parenthood whatever, which are all independent corporations. They all have their own EIN number. But they all say they're 501c3s. And they're all, within this corporate umbrella of this entity. So I believe that they're all guilty of the same crime. Because they all send members to this board, and so that it's not that they don't know what's going on. Right, so there's a couple other things to look at. We're almost done with this. So once I had that, I was able to go here. This is, you go to the state where you find they're incorporated, and you say business entity lookup, and, boom. You click the button, and it shows you that there is one, and right, you can get their information, where they're located, and so forth and so on, because we want to tell somebody. Here's the thing, this place was around in 1922. Right, so it's just who do we tell? Right, if you got a better idea than mine, then please go do it. Just I'm pointing out the obvious. They're not a 501c3 because they lobby. It means they're evading taxes. We ought to be able to do something with that. I think you go to the chief probate judge of your county, and if you can get a meeting with him, go tell him that and say that's a violation of blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really matter what it is a violation of. It's a federal law violation, but let him figure it out. There's something about they're an ecclesiastic judge, right? It's the ordinary. Old English law has to do with since before the 10th century. That's good stuff. What else we got? Yeah. So when you do that in New York, you see there's like 18 different Planned Parenthoods. This is where I'm saying there's quite a few. And if you go to the site on the IRS and put in Planned Parenthood, you'll see there's 157 places that say the word Planned Parenthood is part of their name. And each of them has their own EIN number. But I believe that they're all under the umbrella of the main player, this federation. Doesn't matter, right? Just if you're in a particular state, and this, right? Just Google IRS exempt organizations, select check, and you'll end up here. Actually, you'll end up here on this page. Or maybe actually it's this page here. Yeah. And then you click on that one. All right, so exempt organization, select check. Click there. It lets you put it in. You put in the name of your thing, Planned Parenthood Federation. I just put in Planned Parenthood. I think that's what I wanted to do. Yep. Search. And there you are, 157 of them, right? Field day. That's all low-hanging fruit. They all get the same disability, defect. They're involved in lobbying while claiming to be a 501c3, and the two don't go together. Never can. Never will. Now, if you call IRS and tell them, they're not probably going to do anything, right? If you're not used to dealing with trying to figure out what the hell is going on in the real world, there's a lot of liars, cheaters, and stealers out there. Oh my! You have attorneys that use a middle initial instead of their name that's on their license. Doctors do it, attorneys do it, CPAs do it, right? The name on the license has their full proper name. Mine would be Robert Allen Ritlewski. But I would sign my name Robert A. Ritlewski. Well, that's an alias, and it's probably an unregistered alias. So at least it's not registered in the state. It could be in D.C. D.C. is his own little thing. But what I do know is that isn't the name that he has on his license. So make him prove it. And where do you make people prove things? Well, the court of probate, because it's the court of proof. It's more than just it's to prove a will, but not a will as a piece of paper. Your will. What was your will? What did you want to do? What was your intent? And trust is, well, I had a contract with somebody else and they never signed the contract. Well, that's how they do it on your deed of trust. Go look at your deed of trust that nobody signed for the bank. Nobody ever lent you any money. Go find the original loan application for the loan on your house, and you'll see that the bank didn't sign it. And so we've been trying to find a place to take these kind of complaints to people without any success. And just here in the last few days, it's like, oh, I'm going to go put something into probate. And I was thinking about this Planned Parenthood thing at the same time. I said, well, that'd be the same thing, right? Let's go find out what they did wrong. And what they did wrong is really simple. They claim to be a 501c3, but they lobby, and you can't do the two. Please, somebody, go make some hay with that. I don't have the resources, right? Somebody else is going to have to take it from there. I'm just pointing out the obvious. And I'll do what I can. Okay, have a great day. See you.